Welcome back, everybody, to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSports. We are your daily dose of quick and handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, and as is Tuesday tradition, we lend Andy to the folks over at BetSports Golf. He's over there yapping about whatever tournament there is after the Masters. I don't know if anybody even cares about that. So, joining me today, a man who's might be in just a touch of a hurry, folks, because he gets to see some baseball today. How's it going, Matt?
I'm doing well. I believe you guys talked about golf yesterday, the RBC Heritage. I think it was Harold Varner III that Andy gave out as like, hey, you should take a flyer on him. I did take a flyer on him when I was watching yesterday's show. But I'm enjoying this new tradition unlike any other. I'm Matt on Tuesday Brown Bag Bets. It's fun. I get to come on, talk some baseball, talk some hockey, listen to you tell me why the Bulls are going to lose on a given night. It's been a lot of fun.
Oh, that's good. That's good. We're glad to have you. And that's right. That's what the golf was. It was the Heritage. So anyway, when you're done over here, hop over to BetSports Golf and pick that up. Those guys are just doing some great work. They're really hot. But let's start with the baseball. You're going to the White Sox home opener today. What do we got? I assume there's some sort of homer bet in that game.
Of course. I mean, when I'm on the show betting, it's not like I'm on. You know what? If I did host this show 5 days a week during baseball season, I would have a White Sox bet on there every day because that's what I do. But when I'm only on here once or twice a week, obviously I'm going to give you some White Sox baseball bets today. I talked about with my futures picks. I have a Luis Robert AL MVP ticket. I got plus 2,500. It's down to about plus 2,000 or so now where you're looking. I really like his approach so far at the plate this year. He's been a much more patient hitter. He has been the last year plus when he's been up, very talented, but a young hitter who wants to go chase everything, be aggressive, hit everything, pull everything 450 feet out to left field. This year he's taken a much more patient approach. He's taking balls the other way. He's going up the middle. He's had a really nice start to the year without really having the power numbers through the first series. So I think that's a very good sign. He's going up against a pitcher today in Matt Brash for Seattle. He's young, I think top 100 prospect, talented, but he's going to try and beat you, with a really nice slider that's going to dive away from Luis Robert. And I think with the patient approach that he's taken so far, having Tim Anderson ahead of him in the lineup, having Jose Abreu behind him in the lineup, he's going to see a whole lot of pitches to hit. There's not going to be a ton of sliders diving away from him because they can't really afford to risk putting him on base. So I think he's going to get plenty of pitches to hit. I think 2+ total bases is at even money is a bet that I really like. So I'm on him 2+ total base. So it's in between whether to go with him or in honor of Andy, Tim Anderson's total bases over. Went with Luis Robert today. Astros -1.5 at the Diamondbacks. Similar, I think I've said it on here before, but I've said it in my blog too. Similar to my theory in hockey betting of, when you have a really good team playing a really bad team, the plus money run line is always good value if you can get it at plus money. This is that case. The Astros took 3 of 4 in Anaheim against an Angels team that's probably their top competitor out west this year. They look like the same old Astros. The Diamondbacks are a bad team. They're throwing Madison Bumgarner, who his opening day start wasn't terribly good. Went 3 innings, only one earned run, but only went 3 innings, put a bunch of people on base. Diamondbacks did end up winning that game, but he wasn't overly impressive. And I think if he has an outing like that where he's struggling to find the plate, putting people on, the Astros are a team that we've seen before, time and again, will make you pay for that. So I like the Astros, who are also throwing Luis Garcia, who's been a really good, solid pitcher for them. Really like them in this spot, getting the plus odds on the run line. And I wanted to get your Phillies in there. How have you thought about the Phillies so far? How have you felt about them through a opening series plus here?
Well, last night was pretty impressed. They were able to come back and win again. It's a team that they're just going to score a lot of runs, and that's really what I want out of a Phillies team. As someone that is a very casual baseball fan and generally assume the Phillies are just going to lose over and over and over again, there might as well be a lot of runs. So I think that's what we'll see this season. But yeah, it's a solid start. 3-1 so far. I can't believe they played 4 games. Baseball just comes at you with just a ferociousness. But yeah, 3-1. They've scored, it looks 9-4. They only had 1 run in their 3rd game against the A's, but put a 5 last night. So at least we're playing some entertaining baseball.
Yeah, Patrick's telling me in the chat, warning me about the under. I was a little bit iffy on the way to go on this one, but looking at the pitching matchup, I know Zach Wheeler's probably not going to get the green light to go 7 or 8 innings, but I still think coming off last year's effort, he was really, really good. The Mets have a fine offense, but they haven't quite clicked fully yet this year. And saying that it's really early on in the year, but like Chicago, we were talking about before the show, it's rare we get a nice April day in Chicago like it is here. Philly's kind of similar. It's cold weather up north. You got two really good pitchers. One in Zach Wheeler, obviously, like again we said, is limited. Tyler McGill had a really good first start for the Mets going up against Washington. Philly was about to get shut out last night until they had that big eighth inning. So I like the under here. Don't love it, but I wanted to get you a bet in there at close to even money with two good pitchers on the mound. I can live with losing an under 8.5.
That's how I like Patrick's idea there. Maybe a first 5 under. I'll look at.
There you go. That's, you know what? That's probably the way to go. If you can find that on FanDuel, which I'm sure it is. I don't think that was up there yet this morning. If you can get that first 5 under is probably a really good way to go with this one.
I'll take a look at that. I like that a bit. But yeah, the Phillies should be fun. That's all I really want. But
Phillies White Sox World Series. How do you feel about it?
I'm in. Let's do it. Every game will be like 6-5, 7-7,
10-9.
I'm in. Let's do it, baby. More runs, more better. I've always wanted them to go back. Let them all do PEDs. Let them all cork their bats. Whatever. More runs. Give the pitchers a ball that does weirder stuff. Let's get it on.
I'm in. You got some NBA stuff for us here. I know we got playing games tonight. I'll ask you about my Bulls. I think I already know the answer, and I have a couple bets on them. But what do you got for the playing games tonight?
Playing games are a little tough. We've got 2 tonight, 2 tomorrow. Just a lot of conflicting things going on for me here. The Cavaliers-Nets game, I think the Nets deserve to be a solid favorite. My numbers have it just about where it is. Now, the total has been starting to get bet down. It was around 228.5 yesterday. It's at 227, and it looks like it's still falling. If this gets below 225, I might play an over or look at like a Nets team total over. But I think the Cavaliers can be really competitive in this game. With Mobley, I wish Jared Allen were healthy. If Jared Allen were healthy, I would definitely be looking at some way to back the Cavaliers. Now, we wouldn't be getting 9.5 points. It'd be maybe closer to 6.5 or 7. But I just wonder if things have gotten to the point where the market's just too low on Cleveland, maybe a little too high on Brooklyn. But should be a nice smash spot here for Brooklyn. Again, if the total gets below, well, not below, to like 225 or kind of in that range, I might look at a Nets team total over. I'll make sure I'll put that out. And then the Clippers-Wolves game, this just is kind of tearing me up for the last couple of days. My numbers, my model, and you start to look at some of the season matchups. Love the Clippers. Absolutely love the Clippers in this spot. It's underdogs. But the Wolves keep getting bet. There is still 2.5s out there. It's starting to push to 3. And you look at the Timberwolves' performances, their overall talent, and, just kind of my, I guess, eye test, if you will, and what I expected the game. It should be a nice spot for the Timberwolves here. So just too torn, I guess, to place a bet. Did you have any feelings on either one of these?
Not really. I mean, I tend to lean towards the Nets just because, like you said, Jared Allen's not healthy, and I know it's probably the sucker way of thinking, but like I look at that Nets roster, I know who's on that team, and they feel like a team that, or I will always think they're a team until they don't, that can flip the switch when they want to, and I think it's time for them to flip the switch that they're in the playoffs, and I'd kind of rather be on the side of them, of losing with them. Believing in them because they're so talented, because KD's so good, because Kyrie's so good. I know they haven't kind of been themselves or what we've expected them to be, but I would have to lean towards the Nets just because in the NBA, star power usually wins out, and they have it more than Cleveland quite a bit.
Yeah, Seth Curry is also healthy tonight, which is really big for the Nets. That extra shooter being on the floor just really opens things up. But so no
chance we see Ben Simmons in the playoffs at all?
I've heard he might play a game or two. They keep talking about a back injury that he's working his way from. I maybe.
Okay. So still just who knows? There's no real definitive.
There's been talk of him playing a little bit maybe in these series and trying to test out his back a little bit. He did have some back issues with the Sixers. I mean, he had a foot issue when we first drafted, which is generally connected to that kind of stuff. It usually means there's an imbalance somewhere. And as someone who maybe isn't totally focused on being in the best shape as a basketball player, maybe his back is a little messed up and he needs to get kind of in shape here. So I think we might see him, but I'm not sure it'll matter.
Okay, fair enough.
So no playing bets, but I do finally have some serious bets. Things are opening up here. Let's jump into a few, starting with my Philadelphia 76ers. This is a combo. You can find this a bunch of different places, but the bet here, the Sixers to win game 1 of the series, but the Raptors to win the series. Now, I think the Sixers can win this series. They're going to have the 2 best players on the floor every single night in Joel Embiid and James Harden. There's well, not small. They're about 4.5, 5-point favorites here in game one at home. I think that's a solid win for them. But as the series goes longer, the Raptors will continue to get better. There's just a gigantic coaching advantage with Nick Nurse versus Glenn Rivers. You look at the depth as well. Now, yes, playoff rosters are really short, but the Sixers, after the starting five, things get really ugly, especially with Georges Niang banged up, Danny Green capable of being hurt at a moment's notice, and Matisse Thybulle not being allowed to go to Toronto. It just creates a situation where the bench is going to get short, and in those minutes, I think you're going to see Raptors players like Scotty Barnes and OG Anunoby, if he can play here, put up some real numbers against some backups. I mean, I'm already sort of prepping myself for the horrible, and the Sixers were plus 1,000,000 points when Embiid was on the floor, and minus 1,000,001 points when he was off the floor statistics. So just a lot of value here. And I think if you're thinking about taking the Raptors after game one, I still don't think you're going to get a number close to plus 450 here. I'm curious to see what it is. They're right around plus 150, plus 160 pre-series. I would expect something in the plus 300 range if they lose game one. So let's grab that now. And then the Nuggets to win the series plus 200. I will eventually, hopefully, bet them minus 1.5 games, but they just haven't opened up the alternate series spreads a lot of places yet. I saw it at one book, didn't love the number. I'll wait to see where it opens. But I like the Nuggets in this series against the Warriors. If Steph Curry plays, yes, obviously the Warriors look a little better, but I still only have it Warriors minus 160 or so in that scenario. So plus 200 looks great, knowing that even if he does play, it's going to be less than 100%, and he might miss some games. I just, the more I look at it, the less healthy he looks. And even when he played this season, Denver was really good against this team. I mean, as good as Curry is, Jokic is probably the best player on the floor night in and night out. So give me the Nuggets plus 200. And this last one here, the exact finals matchup. Some places have it as the exact finals matchup. Other places will actually let you parlay the Eastern Conference winner with the Western Conference winner. And that's how you're going to get the best odds on this. But the idea is there's a bunch of value to me in there being a Suns-Bucks finals. The Bucks got into a really nice spot in the draw. They're going to have the Bulls here, a nice comfortable series to start. May avoid the Nets. We'll see how that goes. But looks really nice for the Bucks. I continue to like them to win the East. And the Suns, whether they have the whole team or not, looks like they're going to kind of just strut through the Western Conference. Again, I don't think they're going to sweep everybody, but should be pretty comfortable. So go around and look. Again, some places it's exact matchup plus 550, but other places just go ahead, click Suns to win the West, Bucks to win the East, and they should let you parlay that. In fact, as I love giving you guys homework, congratulations to everybody who grabbed some Bucks minus 2.5 games plus 100. That same book now has that minus 195, and that same book will let you do the parlay. And I think you can get north of plus 625 on this wager if you want. So go look around. I'll give you guys a little bit of homework. But Sixers win game one, Raptors win the series plus 450. That's available a couple places. Nuggets plus 200. That's actually at our sponsor FanDuel. They have the best number there. And then Suns Bucks finals plus 550. Again, you might have to do the parlay instead of seeing that exact market. But those are the 3 series bets I've got so far. And I know you're not happy about the Bucks, but
it's not that I'm not happy. I'm not. Your bet's absolutely right. I'm holding right now Bucks 4-1 exact series score, Bucks 4-0 exact series score. I'm holding those 2 tickets. I think one of them's plus 300, one of them's plus 180. So 2 plus money tickets there. I'd be really surprised if the Bulls won more than a game, and even to win a game, it's going to take like a 60-point night from DeMar DeRozan and an off night for Giannis, and maybe at home. Who knows? Not really sure what happened. I am sure what happens there. It's the Bulls losing probably in pretty spectacular fashion. But it's interesting that, you know, the Bucks Suns final has gone from, well, the Suns are probably going to represent the West, but the East is wide open, to the closer we get to playoff time. It just seems like the way the Bucks finished the season. Obviously, the Celtics played really well for that stretch, but the overwhelming feeling has just been, now this has gone from wide open to this is the Bucks conference to lose.
It's one of those things. I wonder if there's just too much value in people's desire for parity, and you know, because we're surrounded by the NFL where there's a different team every year, and because there's been some adversity in the league the last couple of years, and there has been a little turnover in champion. The NBA historically is a 3 to 4 teams for about 5 to 6 year periods really dominate the action. You see the same finals over again. You go back and look, even as close as Golden State, it was Cleveland Golden State every year for 3-4 years. You go back before that, it was, you know, you had the Los Angeles was in the finals every year against, you had the Nets, you had the Spurs make deep runs. But you have these good teams. They generally don't just make one run. You tend to see sustained runs into the finals. And I wonder, again, if the Suns being so dominant over the West, they're going to be a great pick. And the Milwaukee Bucks have Giannis. He's probably the best player in the league right now, and he just keeps getting better. That 3-point stroke looks better every single game. He just keeps adding stuff, and top to bottom, it's a good team once they have Brook Lopez back. So I think we're just getting some value because people are expecting something different to happen simply because they want something different to happen.
I consider it a win for the Bulls in that series if they win a single game and commit a few hard fouls on Grayson Allen. That's a win for me.
DeMar DeRozan, game winner, game 3 at home in Chicago. That's it. Wrap it up. Just quit.
That's it.
Just shake everyone's hand. We got our win. You guys can have the next
two. You guys take it. We'll forfeit the next 2. You guys got this one. It's good.
It's like the intentional walk. But let's get you to a comfort zone here. I've got my Flyers cap on, and it's mostly because I'm ready for some hockey bets, and I like all the numbers that I'm seeing here. A lot of nice, juicy.
You asked for pluses. You asked for plus numbers last time I was on here. I think I had a couple minus ones. I came back and I gave you some big time plus numbers. I was also accused a little bit earlier of being a homer with my White Sox pick. I am absolutely fading my home Blackhawks here because we
call them homer White Sox picks. We've been very honest and upfront about this.
Yeah. Oh, I have no. Now I'm happy to be rooting for a team that's one of the favorites to win the American League and win the World Series. I'm more than okay with being a homer with that team. I'm not going to be a homer for the Blackhawks, who are a bad hockey team. They sold at the deadline. They traded Marc-Andre Fleury, and since that point, their goalie tandem has just been, like we expected, pretty brutal. They don't play that great a defense. The Kings are in the midst of a battle for playoff seeding right now. They're third out in the Pacific. They're only 2 points ahead of Vegas, a team that they're going to desperately want to try and stay ahead of because they'd like to avoid Calgary in the first round. The Kings have lost 3 in a row, but they've played 3 playoff teams, and they've been 3 fairly good games. And one of them was a 6-3 loss, but they lost to Calgary, I think, by a goal. They lost to Edmonton by a goal. So, they're playing pretty decent hockey. This is a little bit of a get right spot for them playing the Blackhawks. I hate saying my team is a get right team, but that's absolutely what they are right now. And a plus one, you're getting plus 172 because the Kings have lost 3 in a row because the Kings aren't the most prolific of scoring teams, but they can still score. The Blackhawks are struggling to score. They're struggling to play defense. Their goaltending's brutal. So at plus 172, playoff team versus bad team, that puck line is way too good to pass up. I think the Kings are due for a bounce back spot today. I went with a couple Maple Leafs bets because our neighbors to the north in Ontario can now wager legally from their phone on select sportsbook. So I'm going with the Leafs and Sabres second period over. Talked about that last time I was on here. These Leafs second period overs are a thing. They've hit 9 out of the last 11 times. Sabres not quite as good of a team, but I think that means the Leafs can really jump on them in the second period. They're as good and capable of an offense as anyone to take advantage of that long change like we talked about in the second period. And a plus 110 for something that's happened 9 out of their last 11 games played. That's value that I just can't pass up. So I'm going to take that, even though 3 goals in a period is a lot. It's happening at quite a good clip lately. So let's go with it. And then Austin Matthews. I'm currently sitting on an Austin Matthews MVP ticket at plus 175. You want to guess what those odds are on FanDuel now?
Minus 250.
Minus 360 for Austin Matthews to take home the Hart Trophy. Really glad I got that when I did, because after I did, he just went off. And it seemed like, he hit that 50 goal marker. And instead of just cruise controlling to the rest of the season, he said, let's try and go get 60. He's at 58 right now. So we're going to bet him to go get 60 tonight against a rival in Buffalo, against a team that last time they played, it was an outdoor stage. I think it was an outdoor game in Buffalo, I believe. Big national stage. And the Sabres kind of embarrassed the Leafs. The Leafs were not playing good hockey at the time. Obviously a playoff team. The Sabres are bottom of the league team. Sabres went out and beat them 5-2. Leafs played terrible. I think you're going to see a Leafs team who wants a little bit of revenge, playing really, really good hockey right now. And with Austin Matthews at 58 goals and 99 points, why don't we get to 60 and 100 tonight? We're 60 and over 100 tonight with a pair of goals. So I like Austin Matthews at plus 250, best player in hockey right now, best goal scorer in hockey right now. Let's take it. Let's roll the dice. Let's have some fun with it. Austin Matthews revenge game.
I liked it a couple months ago more when we were talking about Connor McDavid. I got some Austin Matthews to cover my Connor McDavid positions, but somehow with Austin Matthews at like plus 1,600, plus 1,400, plus 1,000 to win the Hart, I'm not going to come out quite as ahead as I'd like.
You might not come out ahead, but in seasons going forward for the foreseeable future, betting betting Connor McDavid to win the Hart Trophy is never going to be a bad bet. So never feel bad when you lose that one because he is the best player in the world. Austin Matthews is just playing a little bit better right now, and he's putting up insane numbers offensively.
That's the tough part about betting awards. Loaded up, got a bunch of McDavid plus 200, plus 250, plus 300 before the season. He was down around even money and then got nicked up a little bit. And this Austin Matthews fellow kind of took advantage of it. So what are you going to do?
Can't do much. He's having 60 goals is a lot. You score 60 goals, you deserve to win the MVP, especially in Toronto.
There is some good news because tennis. I actually found some.
We found tennis.
There was no tennis yesterday. The WTA is taking a week off because we have the Billie Jean King Cup. Those are some interesting matches. They're playing in Italia, but the problem is all the matches basically happen or end before we get on the show. So not only is there no lines for tomorrow because we don't know what the adjustments are going to be because this is a weird team competition where they don't have lineups necessarily set. It's all over. So I didn't think I'd have any tennis this week, but the ITF, again, sort of AAA tennis, if you will, has done us a solid. There is a nice field here in Palm Harbor, Florida, wherever the heck that is. They've got some clay courts down there. Now, when you go to your books, there should be ITF. Look for ITF W100 Palm Harbor. Again, this is just about everywhere. I think I saw this at just about every regulated spot. Almost every offshore I checked has it as well. But 2 bets for tomorrow. Again, no afternoon tennis. The way this is scheduled, it's kind of like the Billie Jean King Cup, where a lot of the matches are happening now or have finished. There's probably another match in about an hour or so. But the nice part is we've got some look-ahead stuff to tomorrow. So 2 picks for tomorrow. These will start in the morning, probably around 9, 10 o'clock or so. Alicia Parks, really like her in this match. Again, we're kind of switching to clay. She's going against Caroline Dahlheide, who I think is someone I've talked about before, and I don't mind fading. Kind of an older player on the tour who gets a little more credit for her ranking, has historically done well in some of these ITF events, but not so much on clay and not so much lately. Park's a nice young player who I have favored in this match, so happy to grab her at 105. And since I like things at plus 105, a parlay of 2 players here, Baptiste and Sharma. Like both of these quite a bit. They're right around minus 230 or so as I put them together in this parlay. I have these matches closer to minus 300. Baptiste goes against Amina Bektas. Again, Baptiste much better on clay, should be comfortable here in America. Sharma much better on clay than Bjorkland. Just 2 matches where the numbers just stick out to me. So happy to put them together here for plus money. So an underdog and a parlay here. Let's see. They're talking about Djokovic Fekina here in the chat. Yeah, it's kind of a mess. It's clay tennis, baby. Let's get weird with it.
ITF, International Tennis Federation.
Sure.
Nailed it. That's got to be what it is. I was thinking what it stands for.
Let's see. I've never actually looked it up, but yes, International Tennis Federation. Well done.
I'm going to hop on the parlay of that Baptiste Sharma. If you're telling me you have them at both minus 300, and I'm going to get a parlay that's paying me plus money, you know how much I love plus money bets. I'm going to take that. I'm going to hop on that. I'm going to bet some Luis Robert. I'm going to bet some White Sox. I'm going to have myself a good afternoon.
Beautiful. You get out here. You go enjoy those White Sox. Hopefully that Mr. Robert guy hits the ball a whole bunch, maybe a dinger or 2. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. If you're on a podcast app, we'd love a rating, a review, a thumbs up on YouTube, all that crap that makes Andy really happy. And he'll be back tomorrow. Have a great day.